From Belgium to Brazil, we're flipping hemispheres and flipping the script alike, moving to NARL GT3 Season 6 Round 2 with a brand new duo on top. Solpec dominated Spa and took positions 1 and 2, but the rest of NARL is ready to fire back at this series staple, Interlagos. Welcome to Pitstop TV and the virtual Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with Daniel Hall alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of NARL GT3 Season 6. Tonight's coverage is brought to you by Muradness, by JS Consulting, and by Screw Compressor Service Incorporated. It is good to be here, round number 2, ready to go. Practice just ended, qualifying is beginning as we speak, and Daniel, back for week 2. I still cannot get over what a surprise week 1 was out at Spa. Solpec dominating the series like that was just absolutely insane. And now we get to see if they can back it up here at a place like Interlagos. This has been on every schedule, it feels like, in every season of the North American Racing League. This feels like one of these signature tracks when you sign up for an NRL season.
And why shouldn't it be? This track is amazing. It hosts everything from Brazilian stock cars to Formula One, and I don't think I've ever seen a bad race here in any highlight tape or broadcast or whatever. So it's a great track, and if they had to pick one to always be on the schedule, this isn't the worst one to pick. So it should be exciting. Last week was great. I expect this week to be the same. While you see it on the screen there, we'll walk you through the track map. Pit lane straight leads you down into turn 1, and that left of the Senna S. Great sights to see downhill, hard on the brakes, and trying to just keep the car under you through there. That leads you onto the back straightaway and into turn 4 and 5. Turn 4, good passing zone. If you're brave enough, you can really send it up the inside and catch your other drivers off guard there. That leads you into the run to 6, 7, 8, kind of a double apex, and 6 and 7 really can upset the car if you're not careful. Leads you into a turn 8. Get the car pointed in the right direction, get it straight so you can brake in a straight line and get the car slowed down. That's another good passing zone. Down the hill into 9 and back up into 10. Another good passing zone where you really want to get the car straight so you don't get the car loose, don't spin out, don't do anything like that. That'll lead you into out of 10 and into turn 11, sweeping left-hand turn. Leads you to turn 12, where we got some new track limits there with this latest update to iRacing. So we'll cover those later, but drivers are going to have to adjust to that. That's the last hard braking zone on the lap, last chance to get a pass done. Or you can wait and use that long run out of 12. It's flat out all the way back to turn 1. So those 13, 14, 15s, not really turns, just more guiding the car in the right direction while you are flat out. This long run down the straightaway back to turn 1, and that is a lap here at Interlagos.
I want to talk about point standings before we get into qualifying this evening. Here's a look at them. Kevin Cantonio on top as you see drivers run their best times in qualifying behind us. Kevin Cantonio on top, just 1 point over Chris Sanchez. Third place, Jeremy Gonsalves, teammate with Kevin Cantonio. That would be your Solpec duo that dominated round 1 last time out. And you look through the rest of the top, 19 drivers, since there's only 19 that have earned points so far this season. In Division 1, things are pretty... I mean, it's round 1, right? This is really just a recap of the results from last week. We can go into Division 2. Same thing here, although we do have 23 drivers that earned points last week at Spa. Logan Boone on top. And this is a little more interesting just because these guys, of course, they earn points on the racetrack alongside the Division 1 drivers. So they have fewer points really to mix amongst themselves, but Logan Boone on top, Joshua Lyon there in the second spot, Mitch Buenaventura in third, Bradley Alvis, Dean Kerr, your top 5. We'll go straight to qualifying. We'll talk about the schedule and such later. 46 cars, it looks like, tuned in, ready to go racing this evening, qualifying here at Interlagos, and we'll take a look at your not starting grid on the left side, but your ticker there on the left side as far as who is where in qualifying. Reister on top. I'm surprised by this, actually. That Mercedes, are you kidding me? The Mercedes is up by a 10th and change.
Oh, he loves this track. He puts a lot of effort into practicing this one. He knows this is a great shot for him to do really well. So Not surprised to see him near the top of the leaderboard, but looks like he has been bumped off by Kevin Cantonio by a 1/10 of a second. So already dicing it up in the action in qualifying.
Yeah, Kevin Cantonio straight to the top there by about a 1/10 over Scott Reister, so some big gaps at the very top, and everything tightens up down below. For example, Thomas Rayleigh in the Audi is just 5/1000th of a second out of the top 5, and now Scott Reister goes even faster, a 32.497. That is faster than Kevin Cantonio by about 14/1000ths of a second. Let's just dial in on this qualifying duel between these two. Cantonio down through turn number 8, around 9, and towards Bico de Pato turn number 10. A very, very tight section. That might have been an off track.
Yeah, got to be really careful through there. Easy to drop a wheel in the grass and just can't get it back, but he looks like he's still pushing on this lap as he goes through turn 11, that kind of downhill sweeper. That's the section we were talking about where they just introduced new track limits there. 4 wheels off of the curb. I believe that might even be a slowdown. So drivers are going to have to be really cautious through there, but not too cautious because it's all about the run out of that corner down this long straightaway. As we see Kevin duck into the pits, so he might have had an off track there. Just get some pit road entry practice last second.
It was actually an extra lap, it looks like. Maybe it was after he crossed the line. I don't know, but here we go. Jeremy Gonsalves to the line, trying to go faster from 3rd spot. That lap will improve, but won't move him up the board at all. Down in Division 2, so far on pole is Thiago Tavea, who had a terrible outing out in Spa a week ago. Really just a terrible finish. Had a good race going. Was up racing for the lead in Division 2, and then circumstances that be had a crash, and I believe that was one of our hardware failures of the evening. So that is really circumstances that be for Tavea.
Yeah, he's going to hopefully have those sorted out, and he's got on another provisional pole right here. I think he had pole last week, so...
that was Logan Boone, actually. Surprisingly, if I recall correctly, Logan had pole, and Thiago took the lead on lap 1.
Oh, that's right. So, yeah, starting up near the front, hopefully those hardware issues are figured out, and he's going to look to have a good rebound race here in week 2.
Chris Sanchez only just got a lap in. He goes 14th quick. He's going to be one to watch. Coming from the back end of Division 1. I'm surprised he's so low. Miguel Colon now goes 4th. We're on board with Scott Angelo from the Maradness crew. And he'll go into turn number 1, not having improved on his final lap around the racetrack. Otto Rosa still on track, coming around the flag stand. This time by will be the end of his qualifying run. Otto to the line. He's going to pick up about 2/10. Will that move him up the order at all? From 41st, he will stay 41st, so no position gain despite the time gain. Here we go. Wayne Grennan trying to do the same thing, trying to move up 2/10 there to a 35.412. Unfortunately, that will keep him 43rd. He won't move up at all. We do have Darnell Williams across the line. He goes slower that lap, though. So Darnell will go nowhere, and that was about the last driver that could have moved up at all. So it looks like Scott Reister is going to lead us to the green today.
Yeah, he's shown speed. He's been quick every time I've seen him race here, so not completely shocking. But as we go back on with Chris Sanchez, remember he got out to the lead early at Spa last week and led the first half of that race, and then those Solpack guys just played the right strategy, got out ahead, and couldn't really do anything. But as he comes to the line, he's going to look to improve on his last one. Goes 32.5,
and that lap was an extra lap for him.
That was an extra lap.
Yeah. So
that
unfortunately,
way up.
He would have gone, let's see, from a 33.16 to a 32.5. Yeah, he would have been, 4th. He would have unseated Miguel Colon, so that's got to be a painful one for Chris, which again is why he's going to be somebody to watch in this race. For him to go from so low on the qualifying board to so high on the qualifying board, that's going to be a big deal. Well, here at the back end of qualifying, we can take a look at some of the track limits you were talking about, Daniel. There are some extra spots where things have been changed going into this week. I say going into this week, going into this season on iRacing, it just happens to affect this particular race so quickly.
Yeah, the big one we're going to look at is probably turn 11 or turn 12. Getting into there, just can't go as wide as it used to be able to without getting a track limit. So that's something these drivers talked about this week, having to practice and get used to and have to adjust and be ready for the race today.
Here we go. Here's the view from turn 12 looking back at turn 11. This is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, so you can see where the kind of the brown section there just after the curb as the cars are coming toward us here in this view. That is now, anything past there will be an off track. So drivers got to be really cautious and really precise to maximize their corner speed there and not get an off track, not give up time, because we know incident points are very limited at a race like this, and you want all those in the bank you can in case something happens to you.
And we can take a look. I might not have updated it, actually. The Whiplash subcams. Well, I didn't update it. The race details. Oh, man. Rookie mistake, Andrew. The one thing. There's always one thing, Daniel. We talked about it last week at Spa before the broadcast started. There's always that one thing I forget to update. I'll have that updated by, early in this race. But let's go down through our starting grid then. If I can't do one thing, I can do the other. Here we go. On pole, Scott Reister. Car number 42 will start alongside last week's race winner, Kevin Cantonio, in the 15 car. That is going to be a very interesting row 1 to watch down to turn number 1, the Senna S. Starting in row 2, you got Jeremy Gonsalves, who finished second last week. Started third last week, would like to bump that spot up one more time as well. Miguel Colon starting from 4th. Starting 5th, it's Adam Brockway, Alexandre Cunha from the 6th position in what looks to be a very Brazilian livery on that Ferrari. Starting 7th, it's Thomas Rayleigh. 8th, it's Eric Leroy. 9th and 10th, how about Martin Crisp and Kevin Carlisle, teammates on the 5th row.
Picking up with P11, Reed Gibson. Starting on the inside there, Diego Aire to his outside, starting P12. Thiago Tavea, first Division 2 driver, rolling off the grid 13th, and to his outside, the leader of the first half of the race last week, Chris Sanchez in car 3. Justin Sang and Lucas Souza make up row number 8. Row 9 will have Andy Ray Miller and Ricardo Delgado. Ricardo's second place in Division 2, so he's going to look to try to make up the ground in Tavea real quick. Starting 19th, Scott Kimbrough and Dominic Turcotte starting 20th. Those drivers are going to look to improve. They've shown speed this season and should be able to get up through there.
The rest of the starting grid will roll on by as now I can show you the Whiplash SimCam's race details. 60-minute practice, 10-minute qualifying, those have both concluded. A 50-minute sprint race now lies ahead of these drivers. Fixed setups, 50% fuel load, and what I really wanted to bring up was that 15 incident limit with things tightening up right here on screen between turns 11 and 12. Well, things are going to get a little more difficult on these drivers. You cannot go out wide there. You're going to get an off track. That is going to put that much more onus on these guys to keep it clean on the track this evening. 15 incident limit, then every 5 afterwards. They've got to be careful as our field works towards the start-finish line to get this race underway. Once again, I want to remind everybody watching the Division Class Guide, top right of your screen. So if you're a little bit confused, I think it's relatively, to a racing fan, it makes a little sense, but there might be some of you that are watching that might not be as accustomed to it, and that's okay. For those of you, we have the class guide top right. When the ticker comes up, you'll see the different colors of driver that you will see denoted as that's restart zone. It looks like for Scott Reister, he's going to get this race underway in a hurry, and we'll fly down towards turn number 1. Jeez.
Yeah, great start by Scott here as we see the rest of them 4 wide through turn 1. That looks like they got most of that all the way through unscathed. So,
a little bit of contact there. Miguel Colon, and who was that he made contact with? That was, I think, Adam Brockway. Yes, it was, as there's a Maradnas train down the backstretch. The Red Oposta to turn number 4 to Cito del Lago for the first time. Oh my goodness, what a first lap.
Yeah, drivers scrambling all over the place already, trying to make up ground while they can. Closest these cars will be all day. Figure you can pounce on it to make up those spots as soon as you can in this race and set yourself up to have a good race.
Up front of the race, Division 1 and overall, as there's a spin in the background out of turn number 6. Somebody has turned around. It's not Jake Browder, actually. Who was that spun? I'm still struggling to find the car that it was. Well, we'll let them have their bad day and let them be anonymous, I suppose. But up front, Scott Reister, Kevin Cantonio, Jeremy Gonsalves, and Alexandre Cunha. Your top four, rather. Adam Brockway completes the top 5. Eric Leroy is 6th. And Miguel Colon, Martin Crisp, Kevin Carlisle, and Thomas Rayleigh complete your top 10. First car from Division 2, it's Tiago. He has got the race lead by 2 cars over Ricardo Delgado.
Yeah, but Ricardo has already made up ground on Tiago. So 13th and 15th overall in the standings. They're going to be racing each other very soon at this rate. So they, as you see, a move being made on Ricardo. I believe that was Justin Sang.
It was.
So that was for overall position, but not in class.
That was aggressive from Justin Sang going by Ricardo Delgado, and that's going to unseat Ricardo quickly from the battle that he was trying to start to get up to Tiago Tavella. And here we go, a move from behind again. Andy Ray Miller to the inside. Oh, almost contact. It is contact on quarter exit. There goes the entire rear facade of that car. The entire rear fascia is gone as he goes into the turn here. Is he going to have any downforce? No, he's going to spin.
Oh, he doesn't.
Andy Ray Miller. Wow. Lap 2.
And that's the danger, those aggressive moves. That contact just knocked the rear end off of that car, knocked the rear spoiler out. And
he's not going to get back around.
He relied on. I think he can make it around if he babies it, but he's not trying to lose any ground.
I don't think he knows.
That's going to be tricky.
I don't think he knows that he's missing the entire rear end, diffuser, wing, and all. Now he knows that he's going to park it. Andy Ray Miller, lap 2, big problems. Unfortunate stuff there, and it's Ricardo Delgado who sheared that rear bumper off. The nose of his Audi definitely has seen better days, but it's better than I expected.
Yeah, that's obviously he got the better end of the damage given out on that one, but he's still going to have to deal with that all race. That's definitely going to hurt, especially if he falls out of the draft with any cars in front of him. It's just going to drag him, so add more drag to the car and possibly drag him down the order too.
Well, up front, the fuel-saving games have begun. Scott Reister out front in the Merc, a Lamborghini in second, then a Ferrari, and another Ferrari with another Ferrari in the top 5. 3 Ferraris, but they're 3rd, 4th, and 5th, so the Prancing Horses have some work to do. Granted, they're all on separate teams. You know, it's interesting to me that Gonsalves and Cantonio both have Italian cars, but from different manufacturers.
Yeah, you'd think teammates might try to work together and getting the cars, just knowing exactly what the car's going to do. All that information helps. But we saw that last week where there was a bunch of Ferraris, kind of the most popular car at least, but also right there on the cusp, but not quite the fastest. So I wonder how that's going to continue out throughout this season as these drivers are locked into these cars all year.
Yeah, there you see Kevin Cantonio out of Texas. We're keeping it in Texas, apparently, because Scott Reister is also out of Texas, so that's interesting. A couple of drivers from the Lone Star State leading down in Brazil. A driver from Barbados in 3rd. That's quite the unique, not pairing, but trio to lead this race, only a couple of laps deep. Eric Leroy is leading the second kind of charge here down the front stretch, with Miguel Colon closely behind. There you see Leroy in the background now. Foreground here, and then a couple of SimCity Racing teammates in, looks like 8th and 9th. Martin Crisp, Kevin Carlisle, decent starts to their days. Here you go, Martin Crisp out of Ontario, Canada, and Kevin Carlisle out of Mississippi. Again, very different places to come out of, and these two are teammates. As you can see, the 12 of Reed Gibson, and so he completes your top 10 currently.
That's the beauty of this online racing. These drivers make friends all over the country and all over the world, really. You got international drivers in this series, even though it's primarily kind of got a North American bend to it. But great to see. It's a great way to build a community and be able to share the love of racing with kind of everybody.
We talked about Chris Sanchez. He has already worked into the 11th position. He's got pressure from behind. It's Thomas Rayleigh, but I think Chris can definitely focus up as you see him here from the back end of Reed Gibson's car. As we work through turn 11, we'll go on board with Sanchez. His race so far started 14th, already 11th, but still plenty of work to do as we've got 44 minutes to go in this race. Down in Division 2, nothing really changing, at least amongst the top drivers. There is a fight, though, for third. Mark Reynolds defending. Mitch Buenaventura in the Porsche approaching. These are 2 Porsches, actually, it looks like, if I've got them right. Yep. Reynolds, yeah, in the 999 Porsche, and Buenaventura in the 14.
Yeah, and I watched a couple laps of practice earlier, and the Porsches, there are a couple spots where the rear engine just kind of can step out a little bit. So these drivers know what they're getting into when they pick the Porsche, but it can be a fickle mistress at sometimes.
A fickle mistress, I like the way you put it. I think some drivers might explain it a little bit more aggressively at times, but you know, those that choose the Porsche in a league like this, where your car count or car choice rather is locked in for the season, generally those drivers that actually pick the Porsche are very well committed, and they generally run the Porsche in just about everything they race, whether it's GT3, GTE, even GTP. Now we have the Porsche there. Generally, they tend to really be Porsche guys, if you will. More power to them. John Sedlak, who handles the website hosting for us with JS Consulting, he does the same thing. Runs the Porsche. I don't get it. I've never been one to figure the Porsche out myself, but hey, more power to him.
Absolutely. Very passionate fan base there the Porsche has. So.
This is the car I like to drive.
The Lamborghini is a good car of choice. It's fun. It can be a little fickle as well at times, but overall it's a really fun beast to drive. All that Italian horsepower.
Up front, 8 minutes complete. It's Reister, Antonio Gonçalves, and it looks like Andy Ray Miller is out of this race, along with Philip Badurka. Wayne Grennan may have been the driver who had problems there early. He's down there. Kleber Tavares is out of this race. Otto Rosa is the final car running in the 43rd position overall. Wayne Grennan is 42nd, so he's at least back in this thing.
Yeah, we saw last week a few drivers have issues, so if you have an issue early, you can get back out there. I believe these guys will have a fast repair, so use that, get it back out there, make some more laps, and maybe pick off some drivers that have worse days than you going. So it's all about that when you got these points on the line and the season-long championship to worry about.
That would be correct. These guys do have one fast repair, as Steven Santiago has recently been passed up by one car. That was the Porsche up ahead, the 314 of Darnell Williams, and now is holding up some cars into Decido do Lago. This is a very interesting situation. Timothy Patterson, Kevin Peek, Jake Browder, Randolph Smith, and more trying to get by this green Porsche, and all being held up right now. Patterson going to be overtaken here by Kevin Peek up the inside. That's a name I didn't even see at Spa last week. He's got a teammate there with him, Jake Browder.
Oh yeah, these drivers are fighting really hard behind that green Porsche in front of them, trying to make a move. We'll see. Oh, gets to the inside there. Can he outbrake him? He's got the inside line, the tighter turn. He's able to seal it off, and that Porsche goes off a little bit. That's going to allow another BMW to slip by.
And so Santiago under fire will be passed up there. And along goes the BMW. Yes, finally Browder going to get clear. Jake Browder taking... Actually, Jake Browder moved on through. That's Kevin Peek. So, two identical cars. Kevin Peek, the car that got held up but eventually got past. Browder now is up the road. Randolph Smith and Timothy Patterson still need to get by that Porsche. Here's Randolph into turn one. This is the very back end of the field as well. So we'll move back up a little bit. Ian Kidd and Jacob Klein. This is the fight for 11th in class. And we find another one of those very chrome and red Porsches. Really good looking car.
Yeah, all the paint schemes in this are pretty good looking in this in the league. So a lot of effort put in by all these drivers to practice, but also to get the car good. And let's say, look good, you play good, you race good. So these drivers definitely putting that into effect this season.
on board with Ian Kidd behind the wheel. That's through turn 12. And now they're back on power all the way to turn 1, from turn 12 through 13, 14, 15. And, oh, a slow car here. This is Sean Patterson, it looks like. And yes, Sean Patterson may have had a slowdown there because he's back on power now. And is going to blend right into this fight with Kidd and Klein. Klein, the leading car, who's going to get away, and Patterson will let Kidd have the spot, it looks like, at a turn 1. That was very sportsmanlike of him. I really like seeing that. You realize you've made a mistake. This guy just ran you down as a result. Give him the spot. You've got 20 minutes or 40 minutes to go and get it back. As, oh, problems here. Chris Sanchez has gone for a bit of a slide, if not a full spin, and has gone from 11th to 20th.
Yeah, he had an issue there. Don't know exactly what happened, but he's definitely run into some problems as we get a replay here. I think this is down into turn 4.
It is on the inside of Reed Gibson. That was never going to work.
Yeah, that was just a little late and didn't really give Gibson there enough time to react. So unfortunate contact there, and Chris gets the worst of that. And he's going to have to make up some more ground again, it looks like.
We'll see how this got set up. Sanchez now back into 16th, so he's already made some passes to get a couple of spots back. But watch this through... This is Curva do Sol. You can see why it's Curva do Sol. You're looking straight at the sun. Down to Descida do Lago.
Yeah, he's a long way back here, so...
That might have been a sheer mistake, because that was just never going to work.
Yeah, I don't know if the cars in front of him, there were 3 cars there, so if the first guy is a little harder on the brakes than everyone else is expecting, it kind of creates an accordion effect and just stacks everybody up, and that's the result. You get closing speed differential, and all of a sudden you have contact, and unfortunately Chris was the big one to take a hit on that one.
The big loser, you say?
That's the word.
Well, these guys work cut out for him. You see the side-by-side, a couple of cars up. That's Scott Kimbrough, Ricardo Delgado, who has had his hands full this race. Delgado trying to get passed up by another pro driver, but putting up a fight. And that's something I think a lot of pros forget. They forget these guys are racing for their own race too, right? Ricardo's got a bunch of Division II drivers right behind that pro car. He would like to keep that cushion. He would like to keep Kimbrough between himself and those other Division II drivers, Mark Reynolds and Mitch Buenaventura, rather than be straight under their guns. So there's a lot for Ricardo to race for right here.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the points, they get points based on overall finish position. You're racing your other competitors in class for the season-long championship, but each race comes down to where they finish overall. As Scott Kimbrough looks to the outside, turn 1, he's going to try to hang around there, get to the inside on turn number 2.
That's it.
He's going to have it, and ooh, that's tight. Just able to clear the nose of that Audi.
Yeah, that was Scott Kimbrough saying, I'm taking this spot, and unfortunately you're going to have to deal with it. Ricardo relented, and now you see Mark Reynolds breathing down his neck into Descida do Lago, and Chris Sanchez took the opportunity. I like the opportunistic lifestyle here, Chris, but you got to be careful. That's how you already spun and got yourself in this spot. Hey, look at that. A Pit Stop TV logo on the quarter panel of that car. You'll love to see it. And yeah, Chris gets free again.
And that's the problem. You start pushing and pushing, and tires get hot. So they start sliding. You don't ever cool them off. You can just compound that. So he needs to take a step back, take a breather before he attacks again.
A change for third recently. Alexandre Cunha has gone on by the Jeremy Gonsalves machine. Ferrari is mixing things up at third, fourth, and fifth. We'll see if Cunha's got a better opportunity to go and get the top 2 here. I love the sound that Mercedes makes when it drives by. It just sounds so good. So good.
Gorgeous V8 sound as it drives by every time. It's one of the benefits of this GT3 series. I mean, all these cars, different power plants, different body shapes, different engine configurations, and they're all balanced really well, so they can all be competitive with each other. It's really cool to see, and a great benefit to have on iRacing.
Want to give a big nod to our partners with the league. Muradness, JS Consulting, and Screw Compressor Service Incorporated would not be possible without these partners on board, allowing us to go racing every Thursday, or I guess most Thursdays, because we have 4 Thursdays in the schedule and a couple of Saturdays. We haven't talked about the schedule yet. We can go ahead and do that, actually, while we ride on board here with Reed Gibson. Let's bring the schedule graphic up and talk about the fact that next up, we go to Nürburgring in our first endurance race of the season on July 6th, a Saturday. We go racing in Germany. Then it's out to Long Beach and Suzuka, a couple of traditional rounds, sprint races, and then it's out to Phillip Island for another endurance round. And, you know, we say endurance, it's weird because these races are kind of endurance races already at 50 minutes. They're in between. A sprint race to me is a half hour under, but by association, I guess, by comparison is what I'm looking for, this is a sprint race at 50 minutes. We'll have a 50-minute heat and then a 2-hour race. Nearly 3 hours of points racing for these drivers in those endurance rounds between the two races on track. That's a big day for these guys.
Yeah, if 50 minutes is an endurance, even though we call them sprints, that 50 minutes plus another 2 hours after that is really going to test these drivers. Endurance, mental fatigue, just everything. You're gonna have to keep the car under you for almost 3 hours. I know there's a little break there, but that's it'll be tough, and we'll see how these drivers adapt. We had some of those last season, and they turned out to be really cool events, and kept it up for this season. So great to see some interesting formats, and try to mix it up a little bit, get these drivers engaged a little more.
Yeah, we had that one championship crowning event at Road America where we tried this format, and it went really well. Had a lot of fun, so we're going to try it again a couple times. Nürburgring and Phillip Island, from Germany to Australia, a couple of interesting races to try it at, as we also go to Spa, here at Brazil for round 2, then Long Beach and Suzuka for our sprint events.
Yeah, great mix of tracks. Even got a street course in there at Long Beach, so all these drivers are going to have to adapt and really figure out which events they're going to be able to maximize and get the best result they can for the championship.
I am still so impressed by this guy today, Scott Reister. He's been close a couple of times for a win in his own series. It's never happened, though. Could it be today? The caveat is fuel. We tend to get ahead of ourselves, or at least I do. I get ahead of myself, thinking the guy who's first at minute 30 might be first at minute 5. I guess hang on. With 30 minutes
45.
to go versus 5 minutes to go, we'll say. I think that's a little easier way to put it. But with fuel saving in this race, which is the name of the game, Reister is likely to fall back to second, if not third, and then have to race back through. At that point, though, do you fill the car as much as you can to try and offset that? I mean, how do you approach that, Daniel? It's a difficult thing for sure.
Yeah, and it starts in this first segment here. Do you go out and push and try to build a lead and maybe use a little bit more fuel, but build a gap behind? Obviously, we see Kevin Cantonio right behind him, so not much of a gap there. So how do you balance pushing hard to build a gap and saving enough so you can take as little fuel as possible to get to the end? And these drivers kind of on back, they're savvy, they know what they're doing. They're going to try to save as much. They're going to let somebody like Scott go out and lead the race for a while, use up as much fuel as he wants to, and they're going to be back there saving, not putting extra strain on the tires. They have more of that to go at the end of the race. As we see the track temps started to inch up to 79 as we get further along in this day. This race started in the morning hours, and as the sun just keeps beating down on this track, it's going to get hotter and hotter. And how are these drivers going to be able to react to that?
Well, so I was going to ask, is that more or less difficult when you have a cooler track like we do today? I mean, 71 degrees in the air. It's a morning here in Brazil. It's only 79 on the track. That's a pretty cool temperature, especially for here.
Yeah, it is a cool, relatively cool track temp, but it is definitely been getting hotter as the race goes on. So you got to be careful not to anticipate that and anticipate that it's going to be the same. This track's going to change and develop as more laps get put on it, as the rubber gets laid in, and as that track temperature heats up. So that's the other
Oh
thing
no! Problems for our Division 2 race leader. Do you see it? There is no nose on the front of that car. This is absolutely going to ruin his race. Now, he might still be able to win, but you see, closing in, Ricardo Delgado is not that far back at this point. I say that. It's actually a larger gap than I thought it would be. Hang on. There must have been a problem down in Division 2 that we missed. A large one.
Yeah, Mitch Bonaventura is showing as P2 in Division 2, so Ricardo must have had an issue that knocked him down the order.
Well, we see Tiago's issue too. This is huge.
Yeah, we'll get the right replay dialed up there.
It's been a minute apparently.
Yeah, so if he's still riding around with damage for that long, maybe he's just trying to nurse that along to the pit stop, get his fast repair taken care of. Well, he's got to get fuel anyway. So if the car's not handling too bad, it's definitely possible. We're just trying to find the right point.
Well, we might have to just go without it. It's the replay. ATVO is giving me a lot of trouble right now, let me tell you. So we're just going to come back live and let it be. Production issues. Don't you love them?
Yeah, it's all the benefit of live TV, so gotta take it as we can.
Gonna fly in the dark here for a moment. Bear with us. I hate when this happens, but ATVO tends to get really bogged down with these kinds of events, with all these sports cars on track at once. But you see Chris Sanchez there in the background. Tiago's still leading. We're going to stick with this for a moment, as we have to do it the old-fashioned way for a minute. See if I can dial up the moment that happened. So we're going to watch this replay. This is a replay.
So this is the replay. You can see his front end is fixed here. So this was obviously before the wreck. So we'll follow along as we can find what exactly happens to him. I believe he's running P11 or 12 at this point.
Yeah, I mean, this is ahead of Justin Sang, who we know was in the top 15. And the 6th there from Aerokinetics. This is a pretty solid running position at the time. 12th,
yeah,
looks like,
through 6, 7, that double apex into turn 8. It's like through there, okay. Hard to find these sometimes.
There it is.
Oh, and there's the damage. So he got loose and kind of half spun, and the car behind that Porsche just nowhere to go, and just kind of made contact, ripped that front bumper off. So that's unfortunate, but he's still plugging along. Looks like he's definitely trying to nurse that thing into the pit stop so that he can get that repaired, taken care of.
Saw Steven Santiago in the pit lane briefly. As we move forward, there is Jeremy Gonsalves and Alexandre Cunha. Hey, we've got graphics coming back. Bear with me. Let's see. Live TV happening, ladies and gentlemen. That's about all I can say.
Yeah, still getting a good look at this battle for third. These drivers kind of been running here the majority of this first half of the race, so I think these drivers settle into a good rhythm, all more or less working together. I know they're not teammates, but still, as you can, save fuel and keep the car under you and be ready to pounce at the end of the race. So we got our graphics back up and running. So good job in the in the booth and on the call there, Andrew.
Oh yeah,
all squared away.
I'm a little more used to it than I'd like to admit, but hey, that's what happens sometimes. Moving on, Miguel Colon is working on Eric Leroy back here inside the top 10. Car 1, most recent defending champion. Would like to try and go back-to-back here this season, but it's been kind of a stale bringing to the racetrack from him this season. It's been very slow, very stale, not much to talk about so far for Miguel. So it's going to take something special, I think, to get the season really going for him here today. Press is there to turn 1, but he's only working on 6th, and I think, quite frankly, if you drop out of the top 5 this season, you might be in trouble. I think you're going to have to be darn near perfect with the way these Soul Pet guys have been so far if you want to go for this championship. Here we go. A leader now pitting, or I say a leader, relative leader, if you will. Scott Kimbrough into the pit lane, and he's not alone. You see, there is one of the BMWs that we saw earlier working down the pit lane, as well as, is that Will Coffey? Yes, it is. That's a pass-through already for Will Coffey.
Yeah, he did not stop for service there, so that's showing that he's going to have a penalty, but he's just served. So that's unfortunate for him. That's not what you want to do, and not what you want to have happen in this race.
Chris Winstone there at the pit lane will now pull away. A look here at Miguel Colon working on Eric Leroy. This battle's still going nowhere.
Yeah, I think Miguel would be hoping to be a little bit higher up, but he just has not been able to get by Eric, and they've started to lose ground a little bit, about 2.3 seconds back of the pack in front of them. See if anybody ducks into the pit lane here. Looks like none of the lead pack so far has made their pit stop, so we should start seeing a few more drivers trickle into the pits as this race gets further and further along. You know, these drivers do have to stop for fuel based on that fuel limit, so should be seeing that any lap now.
This might be a relatively free tire day, or relatively tire-free day. There we go. That's what I was looking for, is one car leaves the pit lane. That is... oh, who is that? That might be Philip Badurka. It is, and that's actually going to hold some drivers up, including Eric Leroy, who gets passed up now finally by Miguel Colon. So that changes that battle up entirely. Martin Crisp goes on through, and we got some pitters.
Yeah, that looks like the 121 Porsche Ian Kidd. He's going to come in for service. We got another BMW Sean Patterson in for his service. Did those drivers stop? I don't think Kidd. Yeah, we don't see timing for them. So some more pass-throughs. Looks like those track limits may have caught a few drivers out, as Will Coffey's in his pits for his service after serving his drive-through.
For a long time.
You can get you can't serve your penalty and take service at the same time, but it is a much bigger penalty that you have to be stationary to prevent anybody gaming that system. So not surprising to see him kind of take those in two different pit trips.
On board here with T. Charles Anderson as Eric Leroy is going to pit this lap. T. Charles Anderson, 5th place right now in Division 2. Division 2 is all in a line. You've got Tiago Tavella, Mitch Buenaventura, Bradley Alvis, Logan Boone, and now T. Charles Anderson in the 3rd spot. So something happened to Ricardo Delgado as well that we had missed. There's Buenaventura. Here is Bradley Alvis, Logan Boone, and T. Charles Anderson all in a line. So our Division 2 podium is very much up for grabs right now, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see who's able to grab what as Logan Boone starts to blink a little bit. Race winner last week at Spa. Would like to bring him up and talk to him after what happened last week. We didn't get a chance to talk to him because of extenuating circumstances, so would like to try and talk to him here today. But he's got some work to do for sure, as we've got a very full pit lane. One car's just crashed in the pits.
I thought that was a safety car back there parked, but no, that was that Porsche, and he's still trying to find his box here. I think he got it stopped now, so yeah, he's not getting service, but that's going to cost him a lot of time
He's still not in his box.
Still not sure where he's at. So,
He might have stalled it.
Yeah, that first box right there, you can see the yellow cone there just to the left. That is the first box on pit road. And if you're not ready for that, it can catch you out. As we see the leaders, Scott Reister coming in for his service now.
He's got the most difficult pit box to leave here in a moment.
Yeah, he's in that first pit box. That's all the way down the end of pit road. He knows, he put it on pole. He knew right where that was. As we see him in the air, he's going to take some tires along with his fuel. He is down and away.
13.24. Wow, that was quick.
Yeah, that is a short pit stops time. So he's maybe playing some aggressive strategy, hoping to really capitalize on that. Maybe he saved a little bit more fuel than we were thinking he did.
On board, we'll go to Adam Brockway, who's right on the back end of Jeremy Gonsalves. These guys are doing the pit lane anytime. We'll see if they pit this time as they work into some lap traffic. Of course, everything is going crazy on timing and scoring with everybody pitting in these just couple of laps. I mean, the pit window here is very, very tight, apparently. Nobody wanting to pit early. Everybody wants to go late. So the pit lane gets very, very busy all at once. There's a spinner. That's Steven Santiago. And he is going to find it challenging to turn that car around, I think. But he does.
Yep, he got back rolling. We'll see if these drivers... Yep, and that pit lane is so tricky because you're trying to carry all that speed. You're kind of in the racing line. And it's just a matter of missing heading to the right of the pit attenuator or to the left and getting slowed down for the pit lane. So we see all these drivers coming in. Those two Solpec cars that we saw that were so good last week, they're in the pits together. Not a surprise to see teammates pitting at the same time. No tires, interestingly enough. They're going to bank on the fact that their tires are going to be warmed up and ready to go, and they're not going to lose much time on this outlap. They also had very short pit box times.
Quicker than Scott, somehow.
12.6.
And you know what? Kevin Cantonio is going to have over a second on Scott Reister here. He's already left the pit lane. There he is, merging in front of Dean Kerr, that Porsche that we saw have trouble. There's Scott Reister. There's not even a draft delta right now between those two. Scott's got some work to do here if he wants to start drafting up to that 15 car. This might be spelling trouble for him as other cars merge into line. Thomas Rayleigh on the outside. There goes Reed Gibson. A spin down at Decido del Lago. And the 12 is going to work straight back onto the racetrack. Be careful. Oh my gosh, that right front is junk.
Yeah, he's got some serious damage there. He's going to struggle through 6 and 7 here. He's got to nurse that car.
Tell you what, it's going to turn great at turn 8. Or 9, I guess. Right here. It's going to turn fantastic.
Yeah, that right front seems to be kind of broken off and pointed to the left. So it's got some good turning on the left-handers, but those right-handers, like you said, going to be very tricky.
Let's go back and see what happened there. So he's working off the pit lane. Thomas Rayleigh in that white Audi left side of your screen. Gibson goes down through the pit exit. And what happens down to turn 4? Gibson inside. He's still got position. Rayleigh outside. I think Reed could have given him more room. I think Rayleigh could have used the curb, but as the car on the inside, it's not fair to ask the car on the outside to use the curbing to accommodate you.
Yeah, and that's just driver coming out of the pits, and maybe he did change tires, so he got some cold tires out there. The grip wasn't quite where he expected it to be, where he needed it to be, and slide out there a little bit. But yeah, that's unfortunate that he was involved in that, and he got turned around and had to make an additional trip through the pit lane.
Problems. Logan Boone around at the Senna S, and he merges right back. There's the 28 car of Grennan going by. Here comes the 999 as well. Logan is having all kinds of trouble today. The blinking, the spin there. What happened to our race 1 winner at Spa in Division 2? He's racing with Mitch Buenaventura. Buenaventura is second. So this would have been for the second spot. Goes up the inside. Oh man, just got to the car, just got to the 14, and I don't know if there was netcode that tipped the 88 around or if he just got free on the inside, but that's unfortunate.
Just misjudged it a little bit and kind of pushed up in there, and I think he was trying really hard to stay off of Mitch and just overcorrect it. But back up to this battle on board with Adam Brackley, he's in 4th. These two are a little bit farther off of Cantonio and Reister in the battle for the lead, so these two drivers might have to work together, but in 4 seconds back of the leader, that's a lot of ground to make up on a very talented driver in Kevin Cantonio.
Well, it's that time of the day. Can you guess it? Here we go. Brockway on the left side, and Gonsalves defending, blocked over a little bit of contact. And Brockway relents for now, but is going to try to go up the inside. You see Gonsalves sees that, covers it up. These guys are starting to get physical, and we're not even down to the points battle yet. I mean, these guys are in round 2 with 13 minutes to go making contact at turn 6. That is impressive, but do you know what time of day it is?
I believe it will be driver of the day time.
It is driver of the day time. I'm going to put you on point and have you select our very first driver of the day nominee here in season 6.
Yeah, not getting a chance to do it last week, so I guess this is the first one. I got to go with Scott Reister. He's not always at the tip top. He's always pretty good, but he showed out, qualified really well, put it on the pole, and is still hanging in there. So I think he's going to have a good day in this run regardless, and maybe the cherry on top is that driver of the day.
We shall see. I think that's a really solid selection. With you taking Scott, that makes it much more difficult. So then I have to go Kevin Cantonio, I think, from Division 1. So that knocks out our Division 1 drivers pretty easily, and I think that's a pretty solid gimme, right? The race leader and the guy who's running second that started on pole. So Kevin Cantonio is my selection for Division 1. Who do you say in Division 2?
Ooh, Division 2's been kind of up and down, but Mitch Buenaventura, he's been solid. He's seemed to stay out of most of the incidents so far, and currently running second in Division 2. So I think he's showed out pretty well, and he's still within striking distance of Ricardo Delgado there. So I think he's going to be a good one to watch, and I think he might stand a chance to win this too.
Of course, you chose the longest name for me to type, as I've got to do it all right now, but that's okay. Division 2, Ricardo Delgado has risen to the occasion. Well, you saw the issue for Tiago Tavea. He is down now to the 5th spot, pitting some 4 laps ago. Ricardo, I think, still has to pit. So Mitch might be in line to take the win. I don't know. I'm a little confused now.
Ricardo is he's gone 11 laps on this stint, so I think he will have to pit again. He pitted earlier for probably some damage repair, maybe? I don't know if you can pit that early and make it to the end, but maybe he's trying a really aggressive strategy.
I think you can pit that early and go, but all that damage on his nose, And I can't go Logan Boone anymore since he had his problem. I'm going to go Bradley Alvis just because I don't know the situation with Ricardo. And Ricardo, I'm sorry if that is, not, I guess, if it slights you. I don't know the situation, of course. That was about the time, actually, that we had our issue with graphics. So I'm going to go down and grab Bradley Alvis. I think that's another safe option. He's top 3. Anytime you're top 3, you're worth talking about for sure in Driver of the Day conversation. So Bradley from Shut Up and Drive It is my nomination here in Division 2. So I'll get this finished up. And
we haven't talked about him much all race. So quietly having a very solid run here. Find himself in a podium position, so that's a good nomination there.
So those are your 4 options. The poll is now live on YouTube as we are set to go. 9 minutes to go in this race with a battle. 2 battles in the top 5. 1 for the win, 1 for third. Here's the 1 for third on screen. Brockway on Gonsalves. This could be very exciting as Scott Reister has closed within 4/10 of Kevin Cantonio for the race win.
Yeah, those drivers really starting to... This battle really starting to heat up between these drivers. Scott's made up that pit delta that we saw to Cantonio, so I think he's starting to put the pressure on and hoping to force Cantonio into a mistake maybe and being able to swing by and take the race lead back.
Only time will tell how this fight's going to go. Cantonio in the Lamborghini a little free there on corner exit. Those rear tires starting to give out a little bit. Scott Reister in the Mercedes, of course, you would think his rear tires might go before anybody else, just by virtue of how the car is set up. And he does wiggle a little there on corner exit, leaving turn 10. 8 minutes to go. It's likely to be about, what, 4 or 5 laps? I think 5 laps to go when we get to the stripe.
Yeah, that's what it's showing on mine, too. So, yeah, 5 laps to go to the end of this race. See the gap there. Scott's going to try to use that draft. He's back in draft range now, so try to use that, get closer, close that gap into turn 1. Don't think he's going to be close enough to make a move at this point, but he's going to not want to let Kevin out of his sights very much.
And here you go for third spot. Brockway right on the back end of Gonsalves. We've already seen these two get physical once. Let's hope they don't get physical again, but it does always make it dramatic for us, so at the same time, I won't argue it. Hopefully, though, nobody wads up anything, as Gonsalves is going to move to the right or left side there a little bit, right side of the frame. A little bit of blocking.
Yeah, takes a little bit defensive line there, and try to make Adam go the long way if he wants to take that spot. I think he's going to do the same thing. No, he's going to take a normal line into 6. And, looks like Adam's not going to be able to challenge him quite yet. You see this awesome camera view right tucked up underneath the back of that Soul Peck Ferrari. Great camera angles show this action. So cool as they run up to turn 10. And I think, is that a lap car in between? I don't think that was one of the leaders falling back, was it?
It is a lapped car, so we don't have to worry about one of the leaders falling back. It is a lapped car right ahead of these guys as they work into turn 12 now. There's a battle, though, behind these guys for the race win in Division 2. We're going to treat it as the race win. I'm assuming Ricardo must have pitted early, and you mentioned he pitted 11 laps ago. I think that's within the window. I mean, these guys are going to run about 11 laps from their pit stop to the end of the race, so that must be for the race win then. Ricardo Delgado and Mitch Buenaventura. Again, you have an opportunity to vote. There's only 3 votes so far. So if you're listening to my voice and watching on YouTube, go vote for Driver of the Day. The driver that wins gets a cash bonus. You've got to go vote for your Driver of the Day. Of course, we might have to amend things to where I get 1 vote, you get 2, and the fans get 1. That might be how we have to do things. We got to get them involved. Here we go. There's another vote. That's for Scott Reister. Vote in the chat, guys. Not in the chat. Well, technically in the chat. But vote over on YouTube for Driver of the Day today. Scott Reister within a couple of tenths as they round turn 7 and go towards turn 8 here. We've got ourselves a proper fight for the win. You don't see this every day in GT3 racing.
Yeah, this battle is really tightened up in this after the pit stops. So I think these drivers, it's going to come down to the end. Maybe who keeps it on the track, who doesn't make a mistake. Circling back to this battle, I do believe Ricardo can make it. He's going to end up going, looks like 19 or 20 laps, and all the drivers pitted about lap 20 or 21. So I think he'll be able to make it to the end, no problem. Maybe have to save a little bit, but I think this is the battle for the race lead in Division 2.
And it is as we run. Now your top 10 right now in Division 2 are Delgado, Buenaventura, Alvis, your top 3. Then it's Anderson and Tavea, your top 5. Then Logan Boone, Ismail Ilahi, Mark Reynolds, Chris Winstone, and Jacob Klein, your top 10 right now. Winstone and Klein are battling at the back end, but here we go. Scott Reister. Oh, I thought maybe we'd see a pass opportunity into Decido del Lago, but no such thing just yet. Further back, Brockway still just sitting right in behind Jeremy Gonsalves. Alexandre Cunha is right behind these two with an opportunity to go for something, as there's a move from Gonsalves to go by these lappers at the very top of the hill. It's getting close between these guys.
Yeah, is that lap car going to mess up these drivers at all? Gonsalves has to take a defensive line in there, and that allows Brockway to get right to the rear bumper. We'll see. I don't think Brockway's going to have quite the run he needs to make a move into turn 10, but those three Ferraris right on top of each other, there's no room to breathe for any of them.
We'll flash up to Scott Reister. We'll have, it looks like, 2 laps to go, this time by the flag stand. And yes, indeed, it should be 2. It might be 3, depending on when they get there. I think it's going to be 2. Scott Reister, a half second up ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be tight to get that extra lap, so I think it will be 2, like you said. Scott's really got to hit his marks. Oh,
that was a big bobble. That's it. That is it, I think. He is out of the draft now.
That's going to take him back. He's going to have a lot of work to do if he wants to get back up there. But back to this battle. These 3 cars still nose to tail. Gonsalves, Brockway, and Cunha just right there. We'll see if there's a move into here. Brockway's going to have to go the long way around if he wants this 3rd spot.
Oh, or do what he did there and try to get the cut back at the apex and power out like it's a karting corner. Man, that was a really solid attempt at the apex of 4 to try and undercut the inside of the 62. Especially if he can do it in Decido del Lago. If he can get there, it's going to be difficult for the 62 of Gonsalves to actually cover that, because he's already tracking out from the corner.
Yeah, and he's got to be careful, though, Brockway does, with the 7 car of Cunha right behind him. He makes a too aggressive a move, he's liable to lose that spot before he gains the spot on Gonsalves. So a lot of racecraft and strategy going to go into any move he makes at this point.
I think Cunha understands he's got to just wait for his opportunity right now, as we should be getting the white flag this time by. We'll go to Barney. I see, yes, white flag in the air, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. There's Cantonio, there's Reister, and back to Brockway, Gonsalves, and the bunch.
Yeah, a couple good battles. Reister's made up a little bit of ground, but I don't think it's going to be enough up ahead of this battle. But this battle is where it's at. Battle for the final step on the podium. Brockway's lost a little bit of ground. He was a lot closer last lap. I don't know if he's going to be able to make a move, like you said, into Decido del Lago. So we'll have to see if he can make it up the rest of this lap. But Gonsalves free and clear for now, at least.
Scott Reister back within a second here of Cantonio. There's still an opportunity. I think Cantonio took less fuel to hop, skip, and jump by the 42 car and has now been trying to save it, and he used that gap up big time. We'll come back to these guys. We're going to flip quickly back to your lead battle in Division 2. This is Ricardo Delgado, Mitch Buenaventura racing for the lead. We'll see if there's a move here to turn 4. This is the most potent opportunity presented to Mitch Buenaventura on this final lap to try and get this pass made, and he's not close enough. So up we go. Brockway under fire now from Cunha. Side by side, they go out of Bico do Pato, further up the road into Youngsao, and leaving the corner. It is back on power for what is going to be our 2nd time race winner this season. Only 2 wins to go around, and Kevin Cantonio is getting greedy. He's got them both as he fires up the hill and is going to win at Interlagos.
Yeah, this battle's still coming across the line. Those drivers finish nose to tail. All 3 in a line for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. As we see the rest of these drivers.
Oh, here we go.
Chris Sanchez now, he's P11. He's going to try to get this run on Justin Sang. don't know if he's going to have quite the run
He's closing. He's going to make it fun at least, but no. Side by side they go. And down for the race win in Division 2. Buenaventura is getting swallowed up now by Diego Eda, it looks like. That car, yes, it will be Diego that goes by. We have a couple more fights, though. Bradley Alvis, T. Charles Anderson, they're a little bit split up. Here we go, Tiago Tavella and Logan Boone. Boone's got no front end on his car, but if he tucks that thing in behind Tavella enough, he might be able to get a draft. No, I don't think he will. We'll go back then. Ismail Elahi, there we go. And Mark Reynolds, I think they're a little too far apart as well. So, Jacob Klein and Jake Browder. This could be a drag race.
A lot closer. He's a lot closer than we've seen other cars so far, so maybe he can use that draft just to nick him at the line, but doesn't look like he's going to get him there. We have a short run after the pit road wall, so doesn't look like Jake's able to make up a last lap spot.
Well, we have a couple of cars left to finish this race. Looks like one more. It'll be Ian Kidd up the hill, and this race will be complete. Oh my gosh, what a day at Interlagos, like always. This place never disappoints. Let's go and get a look back at our unofficial race results. Well, Kevin Cantonio on top. This guy has lit this series up big time, Daniel. I don't know that anybody has ever made this lot of a statement joining this series than Cantonio has in Solpec Racing as a whole. Gonsalves, another podium, second week in a row. These guys are going to start dominating the series. Brockway, Cunha, they wrap up your top 5. Cologne, Crisp, Carlisle, the 3 C's right there, 6th, 7th, and 8th, before Rayleigh and Sang wrap up your top 10.
Yeah, as we get to the next page, see Chris Sanchez. He was able to rebound a couple times, but only able to finish 11th in this one. Lucas Souza in 12th. Scott Kimbrough made up a few spots from where he started. He's up into 13th. Dominic Turcotte, and then we finally get to our first Division 2 driver, Ricardo Delgado, taking the win in Division 2 with a 15th place overall finish. We saw that battle to the line for the positions behind him. Diego Aire just squeezing ahead of Mitch Benaventura. Gets 16th overall, but Mitch takes home 2nd in Division 2 regardless. Bradley Alvis completes the podium in that class. T. Charles Anderson follows him up, and Eric Leroy rounds out your top 20 overall finishers.
Moving on back, you see 21st through 30th. Tiago Tavella, Logan Boone, Ismail Elahi. That name is going to trip me up a little bit, I think, this season. But Mark Reynolds and Chris Winstone, the next 5. Winstone will finish, it looks like, 9th in Division 2, just for reference, there in the 25th spot. Dan Willis, last season's Division 2 winner, having some troubles here in season number 6. Not even in the top 20 of the race overall, but he is top 20 of Division 1. He'll finish 17th in class. Then it's Jacob Klein, Jake Browder, Daniel Curo. I'm not sure. We'll have to get clarification on that between now and Nürburgring next week, and then Ian Kidd there in the 30th position.
Yeah, as we keep going, these drivers ended up one lap down. We saw a couple of them. Will Coffey, for instance, had a drive-through, and I think some of these other drivers had drive-throughs too. So Dino Vea, Will Coffey, Scott Angelo, Sean Patterson, Dean Kerr up through 35th. Kevin Peak, Darnell Williams, Otto Rosa, 36th, 37th, 38th. 39th goes to Timothy Patterson, and Wayne Grennan finishes 40th in this one.
A few more cars here, 41st through 46th, all the way down to the unfortunate Andy Ray Miller story. Really unfortunate how early that happened as well. The back end of the car being sheared off. Kleber Tavares, Reed Gibson, they're able to pass him. Really unfortunate stories at the back end of this field, but that's the way it goes in racing sometimes. 46 cars strong, the North American Racing League moves on as round 2 is now complete, and we can bring in our race winner. This time, we'll talk to him on his own. It's Kevin Cantonio with the race win, able to secure it over Scott Reister. Kevin, how did you manage that?
Oh, sorry, what was that? It just connected.
How did you manage that race win?
It just like Spa. It was actually even harder than Spa, but fuel saving. That was the only thing I could do. I could not do anything behind that mark on the straight. I wouldn't gain a 10th in the draft with the Merc not having any draft. It was ridiculous what this Lambo's like, but it just had to save fuel. That's all.
Well, last week, because of the ISP issues, whatever was going on last week with the broadcast, we couldn't do driver of the day. I'm happy to announce, Kevin, you are our first driver of the day in season number 6. Only adds to the accolades now that you've won the last 2 races, well, the first 2 races of the season, the last 2 races to happen, and now you're driver of the day, and you likely would have been last week as well, but that does mean now that you're not eligible for it at Nürburgring as you go for the endurance win potentially. I mean, how much more can we add to your resume though this season? 2 race wins from 2nd place each time. I guess we can put you on pole.
Haven't quite had that yet. I hope to achieve that. I'm looking to at least get the pole along with these wins.
Is there anything you can do maybe to help your teammate Jeremy? I mean, it looks like he's got things just about there, but does falter a little bit tonight. At one point, he dropped back to 4th. As a team, I mean, is there anything you can do even though you're in different cars?
Yeah, I mean, the reason that happened is because I had a wiggle coming out of turn 1. It screwed him over more than it did me. I'm sorry about that for him, but I mean, there was nothing I could do. It kind of screwed him over. It is what it is. I think he would have been up here with me, I think, but not much I could have done.
Well, awfully big of you to admit it there, I gotta say, for sure. Congratulations, Kevin. 2 wins in a row, 13 laps led today, and a whole bunch more at Spa. And we'll be talking to you, I'm sure, at the Nürburgring.
All right, thank you. See you at the Nürburgring.
Next up, then, Daniel, how about this guy? I believe one of your teammates over Empire Racing, is that right? Scott Reister with the race win. Sorry,
Scott.
not race win, 2nd place.
Yep, Scott Reister brought in with the P2 on the day, took pole, P2. You look like you had that Merc dialed up real well tonight. How's the race?
Yeah, it was going good. I was trying to save fuel. I knew I was going to have to, it was going to be close on making the extra lap or not, but every time I would try to save, Kevin would put a little pressure on me, so I couldn't save as much. So he was fast. Luckily I was a little bit quicker down the straightaway, so I was able to pull a little gap and then hold him off through the infield, but he was really quick. But I'm happy with my performance. This is probably one of the better races I've done in a long time. Set on pole first time, so I'm happy.
Yeah, you looked pretty good, and every time I've raced you here, you do pretty well. Was the Merc the car of choice for this track specifically? Is that kind of why you picked it? You knew you were going to have a good race this week.
I don't think the Merc is the car for any of the tracks. I think it's like the 2nd or 3rd best car. For this track, it's definitely either the Ferrari or BMW is the stronger cars for this track. But the Mercs, it felt good. I'm just comfortable with this car. I've driven it for a long time, and it just flows for me. I'm confident with it, so that's probably why I go fast with it.
That's awesome. Looking forward to next week, Nürburgring endurance race. How you feel about maybe repeating your performance or even doing one spot better on the podium?
Oh, I would be ecstatic. I had never won one of these races and come close a couple times, but never won one. So if I can get one win in the belt this season, that would make my season.
Well, good luck, and we'll definitely hope to have you join us in the booth a couple more times after these races. So good luck and enjoy the rest of the season.
Yes, thank you and Andrew for great commentary. Awesome broadcast. Y'all do a great job. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Scott. That was Scott Reister, P2 overall, Division 2, 2nd step on the podium. Andrew, who you got up next to get us into the podium interviews?
Well, it's our podium finisher up, if you will. 3rd place, Jeremy Gonsalves. 2nd week in a row, he's able to put it on the podium. But Jeremy, this time you're not able to improve from your starting position. You even had a lot of fire from behind. Adam Brockway getting into your left rear at one point in time. What was that battle like, and why were you back there to begin with?
Yeah, it was pretty tough this week. I don't know, Interlagos isn't necessarily one of my stronger tracks, but I was pretty good behind Kev for a while, and then he had a little wiggle, which I couldn't see ahead of me very well going into the braking zone into turn 4. So I just kind of lost it a little bit, which allowed Adam to get right up behind me, and then I got touched in the rear and got wheel damage. so the car became even a little bit more difficult to drive. It was just all over the place. So I really was just struggling to just keep it on the track and not let it get away from me.
Well, it's the good news here is you're able to still go third place. How about Nürburgring in a week's time? Endurance racing, that's a whole different scope, really. Granted, you're not team racing. You are still going for that longer length, and you have the double points opportunity going for the heat race and for the endurance race. What's that challenge like lying up ahead?
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to it. I mean, Kev and I were in the same car in Split 3 at Nord's 24-hour this year, and we actually won it. So we're looking to hopefully keep it up there for Nürburgring for the endurance. We do quite a bit of endurance racing with the SBR team. So yeah, I definitely look forward to it. There's lots of opportunities with endurance racing. Just because you have a little issue in the beginning doesn't mean it's all over. So anything can happen. Endurance is a whole lot different to these sprint races.
Well, best of luck to you, Jeremy. Hopefully we're talking to you in a week and change when we go to the Nürburgring July 6th. I can't wait to see it.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Jeremy Gonsalves, another big day here, this time at Interlagos. And Daniel, that means you have our Division 2 race winner, Ricardo Delgado.
Yeah, Ricardo here, winner in Division 2. Ricardo, just walk us through your race a little bit. You look like you had a little bit of a different strategy. Pit early, get back out in front of the rest of your competitors. Walk us through that a little bit.
Yes, I started the race like in the middle of the pack, and then start to get held a little bit by the Division 1 guys. And because they were racing each other, so they were holding me up, and I decided to go for the early pit stop to get some free air. So it didn't work very much. After the pit stop, I start getting traffic from the slower guys.
Yeah, well, it worked out okay. I know you had Mitch kind of breathing down your neck the whole second half of that race. How are you able to absorb that pressure and just keep him behind you?
Well, yeah, I was battling him with the car had like a minute of damage when I pitted, so I was pretty much on my toes trying to get Mitch. He got close like twice, but I got to the defensive line and hold him up.
That was impressive, being able to hold him off there. You looking forward to next week at the Nürburgring and in the endurance aspect of that?
Sure, yeah. Looking to be back up here. I think have a pretty good week on Spa, so hopefully we'll keep the trend back.
Well, sounds good. Good luck next week, and we'll hope to see you back here in the booth at some point.
All right, thank you, Mike.
That was your Division 2 race winner, Ricardo Delgado. And Andrew, I bet you have the man who finished almost right behind him, Mitch Bonaventura at P2.
I would say he definitely did finish right behind Ricardo Delgado. Mitch Buenaventura flexed some muscle last time out at Spa. You come out here to Interlagos and you flex even more muscle. Nearly got the race win. I mean, what a run for you today. Positioning, I think, was key for you. Would you agree?
Yes. Yeah, I just tried to stay alive. I mean, there was a few accidents, more than a few accidents in front of me, and I didn't really do anything special. So I kind of just drove and almost had that P1 towards the end of the race. But yeah.
Yeah, that positioning, especially track positioning, got you into the spot you needed to be in. Nearly got to Delgado. Do you feel like you could have done anything with him if we had a little more time?
Yeah, I don't know. He had some good lines defensive-wise. I forgot what turn it is, but I tried to get him go wide, and at the end he told me he had 14x, so maybe, just maybe, he would have had drive-through, but I don't know.
Close. Well, it's been exciting to watch you as a brand new driver here to the series. Of course, with a team, though, that's been established, Shut Up and Drive It. How is the team dynamic going into this season? I know there's a couple of others throughout the field. I know at least one. How is that team dynamic coming into the season?
Oh, it's good. Yeah, I joined Sudi about a year ago. They're a great group of guys, kind of brought me in, kind of taught me everything I kind of know right now. So very communicative and very within the organization. It's really fun.
And Mitch, I gotta say, while it's one of the longest names to type, I love your last name. It's one of the most fun to say. Congratulations on a top 2 this evening. Hopefully we're talking to you in Germany.
Yeah, thank you.
Mitch Buenaventura with the 2nd spot here in Division 2. That means we can go on down to Bradley Alvis, who finishes just behind. That's a teammate. That's the other Shut Up and Drive It car I was talking about.
Yeah, Bradley here got 3rd place in Division 2. Quiet day, it seemed. Didn't really get the chance to talk to you much. How'd your race go? It looked like it was pretty smooth out there.
Yeah, I mean, it went well. I wasn't the fastest guy by any stretch of the imagination, so I just put in steady laps, and I mean, honestly, just staying clean was, the big key there, and did a little bit of fuel savings to hope I could jump some people in the pit. That didn't end up working, but yeah, just hung in there long enough, and I guess I failed upwards.
Yeah, we just talked to your teammate, Mitch Buenaventura, just a second ago, and he's talking about doing much of the same. So, just, I guess, what are you looking forward to next week at Nürburgring and getting the endurance aspect of this season kicked off?
Well, that's definitely not my track by any stretch. So honestly, if looking for the team points, I'll just do my best, take the points that come to me, just like this race, and hopefully we can be back up on the podium again.
Yeah, well, good luck. And anything else that we missed from your race? I guess it was pretty.
No,
cool.
that's pretty much it. So I'll just give a shout out to Shut Up and Drive It.
I gotta say, Bradley, failing upwards, I think, is the best way you could have ever described any race, let alone this one. I love that description. You have to use that again if you talk to us again.
I will.
Failing upwards. I love that from Bradley Alvis. He finishes 3rd this evening. I've never heard that, I don't think. Failing upwards. I'm gonna have to store that in my bank of things to say in a broadcast. That was really solid. Daniel, glad to have you once again. 2nd round now in the books of this season. What are your first impressions?
Just the speed out of the Solpec. These new drivers coming in and really starting to lay the wood to these established veterans of the series. They've come out, they've been fast, they've taken podiums in each of the first 2 races. They're going to definitely be a force to be reckoned with the rest of the season.
Absolutely agree. I think those guys from Solpec Performance have been top of the class, not just by result, but I think just in quality of driving. They've put together some really nice passes in the few times that they've needed to make passes so far this season, and I think we'll be talking about them a lot throughout the course of season number 6. And season number 6 continues on. Oh no! I thought I had changed it. I was thinking as I was making this graphic, I have to put Sunday. Have to type Sunday, Andrew. Well, it's Thursday anyways. It'll be Sunday, July 6th. I'm sorry, what's that?
Isn't it Saturday?
Yes, see? Oh.
That's
Saturday.
Why you had the wrong date. You knew it was wrong anyway, so.
Saturday, July 6th, we go to the Nürburgring. Oh man, I guarantee you I'll have the graphic right by Sunday when we go to the Nashville Super Speedway with the Icon Cup Series. June 30th, the final broadcast of June on the final day of June before we head out to the Slinger Speedway with the 1-8 Racing Media National Tour. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to get there with the Sim Auto Racing Association. 3 really very different racetracks, but very fun racetracks coming up. Nashville, Slinger, and Nürburgring. I don't think you could ask for 3 more diverse tracks to be going to in the next week or so here at Pit Stop TV. But there are plenty of places to watch along, Daniel.
Oh yeah, all that race sounds interesting. If it sounds interesting to you, follow along. You got pitstoptv.com for all your general Pit Stop TV needs. Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, and X. Everywhere. Follow us along on social media and stay up to date on these great races that should be coming around very soon.
I can tell you as well, it's not 9 p.m. Eastern that we're going live for that Saturday broadcast for the Nürburgring. That'll be at 1 Eastern, I believe, but that'll be corrected in the next graphic. Dang it, Andrew, got to get back on it. It's been a long couple of weeks. Went from Charlotte to Atlanta to Anderson, South Carolina, everywhere in between. But finally cooling down a little bit, even as temps rise across the country. If you're in anywhere that it's warm right now, stay cool. Do what's safe. Do what's Gonna keep you with us here. It's getting hot out there. Big shout out to our partners with the league, Moradness, JS Consulting, and Screw Compressor Service Incorporated. Would not be possible without these groups making it possible for us at Pitstop TV and the North American Racing League. A big thank you to them, and a big thank you to our partners with the channel, Whiplash Media, SimCams, ATVO, and CSE's Business. We will see you all next time from the Nürburgring here at the North American Racing League. Until then, have a great night, and we'll see you then.